My name is Isabella, and this presentation is about the concept of internet voting presented by Team J. So what exactly is internet voting? Internet voting is different from electronic voting because internet voting is defined as a form of electronic voting that involves casting a ballot through the internet. This is different from many other forms of electronic voting because it specifically involves the internet. In many cases, internet voting could be implemented through the use of kiosks in public places or even from your personal computer at home. The history of online voting is recent, and not many have invested fully in the implementation of online voting for official elections. Currently, about 14 other countries use internet voting for official elections. It's important to learn and observe the results and challenges these countries face with online voting to help have a clear overview about the process and its results. Finally, this topic is extremely relevant in today's world. As technology becomes more common in our world, it's extremely important that these topics are discussed to help ensure that people have a well-rounded view of both positives and negatives of immersing technology. Many people fear that using the internet for elections can result in false results due to election tampering. In an article written for the New York Times titled 6 Ways to Fight Election Hacking and Voter Fraud According to an Expert Panel, the author talks about how he suggests avoiding internet voting entirely to avoid hacking and incorrect results. People could find a way to tamper with results by infiltrating the online service that is used to cast the votes. These false outcomes due to hackers would be very upsetting to the public. Security for internet voting would be difficult to maintain, and cyber attacks would be a great possibility for those who opt in to use this internet voting. You may be wondering, why would someone even want to tamper with these election results illegally? Well, there are many reasons why someone would want to tamper with election results. Tampering with election results is unethical for many reasons. Firstly, the moral agent in this situation would be the hackers, or people attempting to change the election results. The results of the election are at stake, and they may be doing this for a number of reasons mentioned on the slide. The entire validity of the election is at risk when using internet voting. With the possibility of election tampering comes the feeling of further distrust that many voters will feel when using internet voting. People will know that this is a risky way to vote, and this could lead to less people wanting to vote. It's important that people feel safe with the system they are using to vote so that they know their voice is being heard about important topics. Currently, according to a special series on NPR titled On the Silence of Democracy, exploring why so many Americans don't vote, the author talks about how only 6 out of 10 Americans voted in the recent 2016 election. Many people who interviewed talked about how they feel their vote doesn't count for anything. Using internet voting will only further this feeling of disconnect. Results could be easily tampered with, and people will know that, and they won't want to vote. Although it seems that voting for a public figure is morally good, people won't want to vote if they think that their vote's meaningless. Contrary to election tampering, the moral agent in this situation is the voters themselves. What is at stake is high or low outcome of voters to the polls and the overall result of the vote. People need to vote so that people in office are accurate representation of how we want America to be. People need to be aware of the dangers of internet voting and understand that voting is an important part of the United States society.
I oppose to an online voting system in this country, all because of the lack of internet access in some parts of the US. According to statistics, about 44% of the population in the rural areas in the US don't have internet access, and also about 23% of the population in the urban areas in the US don't have internet access. What is likely going to happen during the election day? On the election day, it's likely there will be a low turnout, and if there is a low turnout, this can affect most of the political parties, and also it can also affect the election results. To me, it's very unfair for somebody not to exercise their right to vote, all because of lack of the internet access. And also the millennials and the silent generation could also decide the election results in this country. I'm saying this because majority of internet users are millennials, and the political party with the highest population of millennials are going to take advantage of the situation and win election every time. So I believe this is a very, very important and crucial situation. There is no need for the use of internet to vote in this country. It is totally wrong. When we look at some of the silent generation, those people are not familiar with the internet, and using the internet to vote will be a very, very difficult situation for them. Those who know how to operate it a little bit will definitely make some human errors that could also affect the election results. So to me, using the internet to vote in this country is never a good idea, and it should never be encouraged.
The last part is decreased efficiency and accuracy. millions of people will cast their votes at the same time. Therefore, you need a stable database in order to connect people around the country and also to store the votes. That's why you need a very, very good server that must be running and secure at all times. A problem during the day or a runtime error or even a glitch in the system could potentially change the results, or it can also potentially make the website go offline, not for just minutes, but for several hours. That's why investing in a better system will be more reliable, especially for online voting. However, this also costs a lot of money. The lack of security can also potentially delay election results, and voters can take advantage of system glitches to recast their votes. To conclude, internet voting is a security nightmare. People fear that their privacy could be exposed during online voting. There is a risk of tampering, making people disbelieve the online voting system, which leads to less people voting. Internet voting is vulnerable to downtime. Hackers can use it to their advantage to tamper with the results. Also, this is not for everyone. Some people won't be able to vote online due to restrictions. Either they don't have an internet access where they are at their location, or there's online restrictions if they're overseas. People want their voices to be heard, and that's why casting their votes and be counted and validated on paper is precise and safer than doing it online. And we conclude our presentation. Thank you for your attention.